Good afternoon and welcome to our daily COVID-19 update for the town of Plymouth. I'm Steve Triffletti, your Plymouth Town Moderator, and this month we're here each Monday and Thursday at noon for this update. This is update number 58. It's coming to you live on Monday, June 5th, 2020 at 12 noon. This forum is being brought to you live by PAC TV on Comcast channels 13 and 15 and Verizon's channels 43 and 47. You can also watch this on PAC TV's streaming channel by going to pactv.org/live. For questions during today's forum, please email plymouthinfo@pactv.org. These forums can also be replayed at pactv.org/Plymouth. Today's participants joining Ken Tavares, Matt Muratore, and me include Sarah Cloud. She is the Director of Behavioral Health and Social Work at Beth Israel Deaconess in Plymouth. In addition, Michael Jackman, he is the District Director for Congressman Bill Keating's office. Heather Cozby, she is a Plymouth CPA. Michelle Bratti is the Director of Elder Affairs. Amy Naples is the Executive Director, Plymouth Area Chamber of Commerce. Reverend William McCoy and Representative, again, Matthew Muratore. At this time, we're going to begin with Ken Tavares, Chair of the Plymouth Select Board, for his opening statement. Welcome, Ken.
Thank you, Steve. Good afternoon, everyone. A couple of reminders from the Board of Selectmen. This Saturday, the 20th, is the town election day. The polls are open from 7 in the morning until 7 in the afternoon. There are contested seats for selectmen, the school committee. Also, other boards on the ballot are the Planning Board, the Housing Authority, and the Redevelopment Authority. As a matter of fact, the Redevelopment Authority doesn't have any names on the ballot, so a good write-in campaign is in order. And also, of course, there'll be contested races for town meeting members. Again, the election takes place on Saturday from 7 in the morning until 7 in the evening. Tomorrow, the Board of Selectmen will be meeting at 5 o'clock. The items on the agenda include the purchase of safety equipment for the fire department, the virtual town meeting, and reconsidering the bucket truck from the town meeting that it will be brought up again tomorrow evening because of additional information received by the board. That's it for now. Thank you, Steve.
Thank you, Ken Tavares. He's the Chair of the Plymouth Select Board. And at this time, once again, we welcome back Sarah Cloud. She's Director of Behavioral Health and Social Work, Beth Israel Deaconess in Plymouth. Welcome, Sarah.
Thank you. Happy Monday, everybody out there.
Monday.
So the one thing we can count on right now is that life isn't going to return to the pre-pandemic normal anytime soon. So with so much focus right now on keeping ourselves and others around us healthy, returning to a normal routine feels a little bit like a fairy tale. So after many people have been forced to unexpectedly and abruptly work from home or were furloughed or laid off over the past few months, what's it going to look like to transition back into the office or transition back to working? And so I just wanted to share a couple of tips to make the transition both more manageable and more tolerable, as many of folks will hopefully face this transition in the foreseeable future, if not are underway now. So first things first is shift your mindset. Whether you loved being at home or working from home, prepare yourself for a more structured environment of the office or the workplace. And it definitely takes a psychological shift. Unfortunately, there'd be no more pajamas and laptops on the couch. But you can bring some of the comforts into the office with you from home. Now that you've had a taste of what it's like to be at home or work from home, there's no reason to give up all of those comforts that you've enjoyed. I'm certainly not suggesting that you come to work in your PJs, but you definitely can make it a little bit more homier, whether that means bringing in some personal photos or bringing in like a small houseplant that you've been keeping alive. Just make sure that you're much more comfortable as you transition in. Also, keep up with your routine. You've created a new routine working from home, and that's really a good thing. Take those things that have worked for you and use them to your advantage when you get back into the office or into the workplace. So you might just find that you're more productive and happier at work if you're able to bring some of those things that you've been using during your hiatus with you. And lastly, maintain your new skills. There's one thing to be said about this pandemic. We've all learned new skills, especially when it comes to technology and communication. Looking at us now, zooming from our offices or our homes. So make sure that you continue to maintain that and use that to your advantage and working smarter, maybe not harder. And most importantly, I just want to say that we need to be kind and gentle, both with ourselves, with our colleagues, and with our customers. This is all new. We'll figure it out as we go. But the bottom line is we're going to get through this together. Thank you.
Thank you. Sarah McLeod is Director of Behavioral Health and Social Work at Beth Israel Deaconess. Each day we date stamp these presentations so that you'll know that this is coming to you live. We hope you'll send us questions to plymouthinfo@pactv.org. And we're bringing together groups of officials as well as experts in fields. And today we're once again welcoming back Reverend William McCoy. Welcome, Bill.
Good to be here with you, Steve, and everybody.
And Bill, what can you tell us in your world in terms of the continued response to COVID-19?
Well, again, the agency I work with is the South Shore Resource and Advocacy Center. I'm a grief counselor, but most of the advocates I work with there work in the field of domestic violence, and they continue to be available. And you can call that number of South Shore Resource and Advocacy Center at 508-746. And you think I'd know this after all this time. 2664. Again, 508-746-2664 for any help with a domestic violence situation. Courts are closed, but in emergencies, any kind of an issue can be addressed. So that said, our church, Church of the Pilgrimage, is continuing to meet virtually. We have Thursday evening Vesper services, which I agreed to lead while our pastor, Helen Nablo, is on sabbatical. So I can say more about that, Steve, about the kind of things we do, and you want me to do that?
Bill, go ahead.
Yes. Okay. This past Thursday night, we're looking at the Psalms, and this past Thursday night, we looked at Psalm 121, which is a kind of a favorite in the Judeo-Christian tradition. It just begins, I lift up mine eyes to the hills, from whence cometh my help. My help comes from the Lord who made heaven and earth. And this psalm was set in the context of a journey, of pilgrimage on a journey, perhaps to Jerusalem. And the reason they looked up to the hills was because sentries would be placed in the hills to warn the pilgrims of any dangers ahead, and also to reassure them that they were going to have safe travel. It's really a psalm for all of time and for every circumstance, certainly for our circumstances now. This COVID virus continues to take its toll and disrupt our lives. Our nation is in an uproar of racial tension and hostility. And I got to thinking about that. We've probably heard that the Chinese word for crisis contains in it both danger and opportunity. A crisis, which is what we've been in for some time now, is a time of danger, but also opportunity. So when sentries are turned to, they can provide warnings and they can provide reassurance. At our last Thursday evening Vesper service, one gentleman said that sentry for him was looking within himself to find some inner wisdom. Certainly trusted friends and support systems are things we rely on more and more in times of crisis. These are our sentries. Walks are helpful along the seashore or back in the woods, whatever gets you outside and perhaps away from all the news, which can be harsh and anxiety provoking. I like to read. I've read more books than I have in quite a while, and some good books at that, and find these to be helpful for guidance. Sacred literature, the Bible, certainly, but other books too. Fiction is a great way to get away from some of the hardship of this time. Faith communities. Yesterday we had a virtual service from Church of the Pilgrimage. It was wonderful. Children helped lead it, and it was very uplifting and very hopeful. And certainly the area resources. There are many of those. Sarah certainly is familiar with them. And again, I mentioned our own agency, South Shore Resource and Advocacy Center, um, addresses domestic violence situations. And I myself am a grief counselor meeting primarily with survivors of homicide victims in Plymouth and Bristol counties. But again, the number to call is 508-746-2664. And we'd be glad to be in touch with you for any help we can provide as sentries.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Steve.
And that's Reverend William McCoy. And you can send your questions to PlymouthInfo@pactv.org. Each day we begin with a health component, we conclude with a business component, and from time to time we welcome members of our greater Plymouth faith community. At this time, we're going to welcome Michael Jackman, and he is the district director at Congressman Bill Keating's office. Welcome, Mike.
Thank you, Steve, and thank you to PAC TV, as always, for having us on to share what's going on in the federal level. It's great to see Bill McCoy and hear from him, and see him in that bucolic setting, where I have just my office in the background here, but that's okay. We're all doing what we need to do. And Sarah mentioned that people are doing what they need to do going back to work, and I think it's important as we go back to work, as we go back to retail and dining, that we recognize that these establishments, and I know Amy's going to talk more about this, these establishments are following guidelines on keeping themselves, their staff, and their customers safe, and really just remind folks to follow those guidelines as best they can. We've done a great job flattening the curve here in Massachusetts, as we hear about other states who haven't done as great a job as we have, and we really need to keep up that vigilance, because it can have tragic outcomes if we don't. We all know that. And it's really important to work with these businesses and work together as a community to follow the guidelines and remain vigilant. Just a few updates from the federal side of things. Folks have been calling us about agencies, speaking of going back to work, that agencies that are not going back to work. And I say that a little bit facetiously, but there are major functions of the government that unfortunately are not happening because the staffing is just not there. Passport offices are they're going through phases as we are here in the Commonwealth. Phase 1, phase 2, and phase 3. And phase 3 would be completely open and all staff back working at their desks, but they're currently in phase 1. It's very limited staffing. We have got a lot of folks who've reached out to us because they need to either get a new passport or renew a passport in order to undertake some travel this summer. We are trying to work with the passport agency in Boston for folks. They are taking appointments for life and death emergencies. And the question becomes, how do you define a life or death emergency? If you just have travel booked, that's not necessarily a life or death emergency. But we'll be willing to work with you and do what we can with the passport agency. The other agency I would mention would be the IRS, which, as I think I've mentioned before, they are also slowly but surely going back to the service centers all across the country to deal with the issue of paper returns. Folks who have filed paper returns have not had any response yet, and we don't have a timeline as of right now as to when those service centers will be up and fully functional so that they can deal with paper returns. So people, we ask them to be patient. We are working with the IRS and pressing them to give us more guidance and a better timeline so folks can expect when they're going to get a response from that. It's just a reality, unfortunately, that some of these states where these service centers are, they're just not able to go back fully to work where people can process those paper returns. Electronic returns are being processed. There have been folks who contacted us about delays. We're able to make inquiries with the taxpayer advocate to try to get those returns processed in an expeditious fashion. So please do feel free to reach out to us about that. I just want to mention really quick the economic impact payment, one of our favorite topics, the AKA the stimulus check that people should be getting, have gotten, or will be getting. A lot of folks might not realize that they're eligible for a stimulus check, an economic impact payment, because they don't file a tax return. And for those folks, the IRS and the Treasury might not necessarily have the information they need to generate a payment for you. So if you're an SSI recipient, a Social Security recipient, a Veterans Benefit recipient, I would urge you to either call the IRS at 1-800-919-9835 or to go onto the IRS portal, the IRS website. There's a portal called Non-Filers Enter Payment Info. And you'll be able to enter your information there so that they can use that information to generate a payment for you if you meet all the other qualifications and eligibility. It can be a little bit of a process, and we're we can, if we can help you through our office, please do reach out to us. But the IRS also is telling us folks have until October 15th to get that information into their system, either by phone or by using that portal. So, if folks who have gotten the economic impact payment will know that the government is sending a letter after you get the payment. So it's a little confusing. People get the letter and people think they get a letter. They're going to get a payment. They get the payment. The letter comes after the payment. So that's a little maybe not entirely rational or intuitive. So folks might not know that they are eligible. And if they have any questions, they can call our office and we'll do what we can to help them. And our office, as always, is 508-746-9000. Thank you, Steve.
Thank you, Michael. Jackman, District Director in Congressman Bill Keating's office. Please send your questions to PlymouthInfo@pactv.org. And once again, it's Monday, and we welcome Heather Cozby. She is the CPA in the town of Plymouth. Welcome, Heather.
Thank you, Steve, and thank you, PAC TV. It's good to see everybody again, as usual. It's been a fairly quiet week, so I just wanted to go over a little bit of movement on something. Last week, we talked about the PPP loan and the provisions to allow some more flexibility, give you 24 weeks, things like that. On Friday, the only thing that's happened is that 40 bipartisan senators got together and wrote a letter to the Trump administration asking the Treasury and the SBA to make the debt forgiveness process simpler for small business. So to explain this quickly, when you wanted to get a PPP loan, it was a 3-page application. The debt forgiveness application is 11 pages. So the letter basically is saying, listen, we have a lot of small businesses, maybe some disadvantaged groups. The 11-page application for them to get this benefit is just too much. So they're looking to have, they've asked for consideration of loans that were under $250,000 to be given a 1-page streamlined application for their forgiveness process. So again, that's not law, it's not anything that's come out, but that is the movement of what's out there, because I'm sure as your businesses who received money are starting to look at this loan forgiveness process, it can be daunting, but you really just need to look at it and read through it. It is fairly simple, but there are some complicating factors with FTEs and trying to, it makes it sound worse than it is. So maybe there'll be some streamlining coming on that process, which would be great. The other thing is that if you thought you were a business and you couldn't get a loan or all the loans were gone, I believe there's still over 100 billion available in loans. So now that we have these new rules that talk about the 24 weeks and giving a little more flexibility on if your business is just now getting reopened or expecting to get reopened, you can still get a loan. So you definitely want to not think that you're out of the loop or you lost your opportunity with that. You want to take some time to look at that process, approach your bank, and see if that would help you. Which I don't know any business that it wouldn't help. The other thing I want to talk about with the PPP is a question that I'm getting in my office is, okay, we have the tax ramifications, we have those issues, but when the money comes, how do you actually book it in your books? And what that means is if you're a business, then you probably have QuickBooks or some accounting software, and you deposit the money, say you get a $50,000 loan, where do you offset that? We know it's not income. So the way that you want to book that is you want to create a loan account or a liability account. And you could call it PPP. You could call it anything to describe the loan. It will technically sit on your books as a loan until it is forgiven. At the time it's forgiven, it's actually called gain on extinguishment, which means it becomes an income item on your books, but we know for tax purposes, that is not going to be taxable income. So I just wanted to clarify, how do you record this on your books moving forward? People just don't understand what it is. So I hope that's helpful. And that's really it from my world this week. And it was great to see everybody out in the restaurants this week. So
Thank you, Heather Cozby. She is a CPA in Plymouth. You can send questions to plymouthinfo@pactv.org. And we once again welcome Michelle Bratty. She is the Director of Elder Affairs for the town of Plymouth. Welcome, Michelle.
Hi, Steve. Thank you so much. And hello to everyone on the panel. Heather, I was one of those people, one of those very happy people out in a Plymouth restaurant this past weekend. And it felt great. So keep supporting those small businesses and making ourselves happy at the same time. So today, please participate in the Census 2020 Challenge. I'm the broken record, but that's okay. Plymouth remains in 6th place. Just so you know, the census is a requirement in the Constitution, and the federal government must do its best to count all residents every 10 years. They can't deviate from this, regardless of a pandemic. The counts go into effect in 2022, and the effects last until 2032. Please do your part to restrict the number of volunteers that must go door to door in the coming months to try and get community members to complete their census, as we want everyone to stay safe. We really want to limit the number of people that have to go door to door to complete the census. Voting, as Ken mentioned, is your constitutional right. Cal is reminding you that we have a local election on June 20th. For detailed information on voting protocols, including absentee ballots, and all the parameters that go with that, please call the town clerk's office, 508-747-1620. Extension 10205. And that is this Saturday, the election. You can always call us with any questions as well. We began a pilot program at Cal on Friday, distributing grab-and-go lunches made by the fabulous team of Mark and Stan. This was a huge success, and it was so great to see familiar faces in person, although it was behind a mask and socially distanced. Although the Cal building remains closed to the public, we will be continuing this great program at no cost to patrons through the generosity of the Plymouth Public School System. This is for Plymouth residents only. Cal is able to offer the opportunity to come and pick up your boxed to-go lunch starting at 11:30 a.m. on Wednesday and Friday this week. Wednesday will feature baked chicken, Friday turkey bacon croissants. And if you know anything about our chefs here, they're pretty amazing. We are providing a maximum of 25 lunches on each of those days. You must register for this program in order to receive a grab-and-go lunch. Grab-and-go is a first-come, first-reserved program by calling Cynthia Snow at 508-830-4230, extension 100. You may pick one meal per week. You must wear a mask, and when you call to register, you'll be given details for pickup that adheres to COVID safety policies. Please note, Cal is closed to the public, as I said, and you can't congregate in the parking lot to talk with others. But detailed information regarding this program can be found in our constant contact and on our Facebook page. As always, please call us or Cynthia if you have any questions at all. Just know that we did a little dance when people pulled up on Friday. We shed a few tears, we had some signs, and it was phenomenal to see your faces. We love it. Today, June 15th, is World Elder Abuse Awareness Day. Even with social distancing, we can still work together to collaborate and build awareness about this important issue. Be the light and shine it on elder abuse. If you see something, say something. Report elder abuse. Check on your family members, friends, and neighbors. Help be proactive and be a part of the solution to help end elder abuse. If you have concerns, you can contact your local protective service agency. If you're looking to file a report suspecting elder abuse, please call the Elder Abuse Hotline, 1-800-922-2275. You can always call us for direction as well. Thank you, Steve.
Michelle Bratty, Director of Elder Affairs, Town of Plymouth. She'll be here to answer your questions. Send them to PlymouthInfo@pactv.org. And today we welcome Amy Naples. She's heading up our business segment from the Plymouth Area Chamber of Commerce, where she serves as Executive Director. Welcome, Amy.
Hi, Steve. Great to see you. Great to see my fellow panelists today on a beautiful Monday morning or afternoon now. First and foremost, I wanted to give an update on the Plymouth Recovery Task Force, which is led by the Plymouth Area Chamber of Commerce and consists a mix of town officials and local business owners. The task force has been reviewing opportunities to aid with economic recovery and made a recommendation to the select board last Tuesday evening, and we are happy to report we received approval. With the newly added state provision allowing restaurants to include outdoor seating and retail shops to have outdoor sales, businesses are certainly eager to recoup significant revenue loss during the COVID-19 pandemic. We know that a particularly challenging area is the downtown area with limited private areas for expansion. So the task force spent a significant amount of time working with various town departments, researching, reviewing different options for our expansion of small businesses. So of course, it was our mission as the task force to try to accommodate all industry as well as residents in downtown Plymouth and devise a plan that was suitable for all. So we created a survey to gauge the feedback from the businesses located in downtown Plymouth, including restaurants, retailers, professional offices, art studios, cultural assets, just about anyone. In addition, residents reached out to myself, expressed their feedback, and that feedback was very helpful in determining the best course of action for our community. We learned quickly that a street closure would not be favorable. So we decided the best option would be to create a one-way street along Court Street, Main Street, and Main Street Extension, and creating a pedestrian walkway which would run along the sidewalk, and in most areas would be using the existing parking space. This proposal would allow for tables for restaurant expansion on their sidewalks, as well as limited retail on both sides of the street, and also allows the public to still have access to the parking lots, parking garages, and of course, our businesses. The one-way traffic has been opposed to head south on Court Street, Main Street, and Main Street Extension, and we'd begin at the corner of Samoset Street and run all the way to Main Street Extension. So the select board did approve that, and what the approval was to allow the one-way traffic flow. In addition, adopt a reduced 20 miles per hour speed limit to ensure the safety of everybody, all of our pedestrians, and of course, businesses and children and everyone that's utilizing Main Street, as well as install the necessary temporary directional and speed limit signage along that corridor. We are still working out the details and particularly the timeline, but hope to share that with you as soon as possible. We have a lot of hurdles, certainly, with this project, and one in particular was securing Jersey barriers to protect pedestrians in the pedestrian walkway. However, thanks to a great local family-owned business, Lydell Brothers has graciously donated the barriers to the town, and which is an estimated savings of around $60,000. So we're very excited that we're able to move forward with that project, despite the large cost of such a key component of this. So we are so excited about this project, the opportunity that it provides to our small businesses, as well as trying something new that's been discussed for many, many years. I swear as a child, I remember this being discussed. So we're excited to maybe see this happen and hopefully continue for many, many years. In addition, the task force has created signage for all small businesses to ensure cohesive messaging around town, because together we can keep America's hometown safe. And we hope that you'll be seeing that signage around town and our local businesses. Something else I want to mention today is on June 26th, we are having our first ever Plymouth Block Party. It's arts, culture, food, fitness, and music. You can experience everything you love about Plymouth from the comfort of your home. Plymouth Block Party is a one-day virtual event to benefit the Plymouth One Fund and gain awareness for our local businesses. As we know, social distancing and spending more time at home is definitely the new norm. So we're bringing our amazing downtown to you. And it's an event for the entire family. So we'll have activities throughout the day, including fitness classes, art classes, paint-alongs, wine tastings, chef demonstrations, sidewalk art, something for honestly everyone, including some great evening activities. A portion of the event on the rocks, which our local mixologists will share how they make their fabulous cocktails that you can make right from your home. And to top off the night, we'll be having a Rock the Block party here on PAC TV featuring 10 local musicians jamming out. So you can watch from the comfort of your home, and you'll see some amazing artists that have been filmed around town. So you can visit PlymouthChamber.com for a complete listing and all of the event happenings. And a special thank you to PAC TV for allowing us to provide the platform to all of our viewers, as well as being our media sponsor. We certainly couldn't do it without them. And then lastly, it is with great enthusiasm that I share that the chamber offices will be moving this month. The new offices are ideal for the chamber team and even offer a large conference room for continued educational programs, as well as hosting B&I, Rotary Club, community meetings, and of course, supporting our members with meeting space and trainings. We are committed to provide the best programming and opportunities for our business community, and will leverage our strengths as an organization to best serve you. Our new location is at 100 Armstrong Road and centralized in Plymouth Industrial Park, which will allow members to conveniently access the chamber's many programs, educational opportunities, and of course, the chamber team. We're excited for this next chapter the Plymouth Area Chamber of Commerce is in store for, and we can assure you that we'll be working tirelessly to support our small businesses, however that may be, including being a strong voice for our business community, advocating for our local businesses, and continue delivering our chamber's mission of providing quality programs and resources. We see a bright future and a shared vision, and we know that it will be with many collaborations with many small businesses, organizations, and community leaders to make Plymouth and our surrounding communities the best place to live, work, and play. So we cannot wait to welcome you at our new offices on 100 Armstrong Road. Thank you, Steve.
Thank you, Amy Naples, Executive Director of Plymouth Area Chamber of Commerce. We're now going for our daily state update from Plymouth, Representative Matthew Muratore. Matt, we're receiving lots of good information. I mean, some people with inside information may already have it, but great new news for the town of Plymouth.
Yeah, a lot of great things happening. And just on the front of the governor, I was watching the governor while I was waiting, and he just announced that there are going to be 50 new test sites opening up this week, Wednesday and Thursday of this week, throughout the Commonwealth. And it's mainly for people who have been involved in these large gatherings, these protests that have happened the last couple of weeks, because we want to make sure that people are still staying safe and we're not spreading the COVID around. So go to mass.gov/get tested and find a site that's nearest you. It's not up there yet, but it will be later today. But if you were part of those protests, please feel free to go and get these tests this week, this Wednesday and Thursday. With regard to the numbers are still looking great, Steve. We are running just under 3% of those being tested are testing positive. The 7-day weighted average for positive test rates dropped 90% since April 15th. So that's a great sign. The number of 3-day number of average of patients in hospitals has dropped 70% since April 15th, and we now have just a little over 1,000 people in the hospital left with COVID-19, and 244 in the ICU. Plymouth County is at 8,507 cases with 621 deaths, and the town of Plymouth is at 589 cases with 66 deaths. The number of deaths, I still want to bring this up. I know Bob Eisenstein will be on Thursday, but the amount of deaths in nursing homes is leveling out. About 63% of all deaths that have happened in the Commonwealth have happened in nursing facilities, which are over 4,800 of those. And those tested positive, about 22,000, almost 23,000 at this point in long-term care facilities. We're going to start now seeing testing that's going to be the numbers will be broken down by the amount of people. Because when you look at the total tested, which is over 708,000 people have been or tested have been done, that's not 708,000 people. So we will now start seeing tomorrow the number of people that have been tested in the Commonwealth, as well as the number overall tests. But testing capacity is ramping up. We're looking to do close to 30,000 by July, and then 45,000 by the end of the year. So we'll continue to ramp up on the testing. With regard to the Registry of Motor Vehicles, Steve, I just wanted to let people know that there are expanded hours now for those centers that are open. They are now going to be open 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. To help with some of the backlogs. If you can do things online, continue to do things online if you can. And Leominster and Watertown service centers will be open exclusively for learner's permits. I know there's a lot of 16-year-olds out there looking to get their learner's permit. So that's exclusively going to be open for learner's permits. And there's some other information as well about the RMV and their openings. And lastly, Steve, I just want to, we still continue to get a lot of calls, people confused, what's open, what's not open. I just want to briefly go through the list of things that are not open yet. I think it's easier to go through it that way. Now, we are in phase 2, and we're still in step 1 of phase 2. So a lot of people are getting is, when are the indoor dining going to open up? Well, it's scheduled to open up in step 2 of phase 2. Now, step 2 of phase 2 will be announced by the governor later this week. So my guess will be that indoor dining will probably occur as early as probably next Monday. With regard to the testing results, as I keep talking about, the testing continues to come in very good. So as long as the data continues to look, we could be looking at that. In phase 4, we're looking at bars, nightclubs, dance clubs, beer gardens, breweries, distilleries, and wineries. Outdoor weddings and events and large gatherings with moderate capacity will be phase 3. Again, my guess is phase 3 will be somewhere around June 29th. Close contact personal services. I'm getting a lot of calls on this. Nail salons, massages, and tattoo parlors. Again, that's later in phase 2, which is the phase we're in now, which my guess will be as early as Monday. Movie theaters, phase 3 with limited capacity would be later this month. And phase 4 would be probably later in July, which will be a larger capacity movie theaters. Again, gyms, fitness clubs, and health clubs will be phase 3, again, later this month. We're hoping somewhere around June 29th. Although saunas, steam rooms, and hot tubs will be later in phase 4, which would be later in July. Personal trainers will be later in step 2 of this phase, so probably next week. Indoor amateur sports and athletic facilities, besides youth programs, will be phase 3. Museums and aquariums will be phase 3. Indoor historic spaces will be phase 3. Moderate capacity theaters and performance halls, phase 3. Large capacity venues like theaters, ballrooms, stadiums, convention halls will be phase 4. Amusement parks, theme parks, and water parks will be phase 4. And movie and TV productions will be phase 3. So as you can see, we're getting there. A lot more we'll be looking at opening next week, and many more will be opening by the end of the month, as long as we continue doing what we're doing, which is wearing masks and staying 6 feet apart. So that is the update for today, Steve.
Thank you, and that's Plymouth Representative Matthew Muratore. You can send your questions to plymouthinfo@pactv.org. And this Thursday, we'll be welcoming back Dr. Philip Triffletti, an attending primary care physician, Beth Israel Deaconess, Dr. Mark Wilson. He is a Plymouth epidemiologist. Christopher Smalley is the Senior Director of Marketing and Communications, Beth Israel Deaconess. Robert Eisenstein is the Senior Living Consultant. Stephen Cole, the Executive Director, Plymouth Regional Economic Development Foundation. And now we're going to begin with our questions. And the first 2 questions are for Heather Cozby, Plymouth CPA. Heather, Bill writes, if at the end of the 8-week covered period for PPP, if I haven't spent all my PP money, but at the end of 10 weeks, I have spent all the PP funds, can I then immediately file for forgiveness, or do I have to wait until the 24-week forgiveness period? Heather.
Yes, it's a great question. You absolutely can go ahead and apply for the forgiveness. You can use the forgiveness application on the SBA.gov website. You're going to provide that to the lender that you worked with to obtain the funds, if that's your normal bank that you work with. That bank will then, I believe they have 30 days to go through the forgiveness application, make sure they have what they need, and that there's 30 days to submit it to SBA, and then SBA I believe has 60 days. I should check that, but 30 or 60 days to complete approval of the application. So you absolutely do not have to wait until longer than what you do. Have to get through the 8 weeks, but you can go and submit that at any time. And it'll probably be a process of going back and forth in order to provide the documentation that the bank wants before they feel comfortable submitting it to SBA.
Thank you, Heather Cozby. Next question also for Heather. And Jane writes, if I did not qualify for a stimulus check for 2018, but did just file my 2019 tax and did qualify, is it too late to get the stimulus? If not, will the IRS automatically consider the recently filed 2019 filing, or do I have to contact the IRS?
That is a great question. That's going to be coming up for a lot of people. So number one, don't contact the IRS. It's not going to do you anything right now. What's going to happen and what they have in play is that worst case scenario, you will get that credit on your 2020 tax return. What I do not have the answer for, and I might defer to Michael Jackman to see if he has a better one, is the IRS is not provided when they're going to stop using data in their system to send out checks this summer. I'd like to think they originally described it as a rolling, like real-time operation. As the IRS gets information, they're going to turn around and try and get payments out. But at a certain point, they're going to stop doing that, and I don't know what that date is. So I would say you're going to want to go and check the Get My Payment. Maybe if you file electronically, wait 2 weeks, and then go and check the Get My Payment on the irs.gov website. See if your information is populated with the new information. But there's been no hard and fast way the IRS has disclosed how they're going to transition this.
Heather Cozby, Plymouth CPA. At this time, we're going to circle back to our panel and ask each of our participants to give us a closing update. We're going to begin with Sarah Cloud, the Director of Behavioral Health, Beth Israel Deaconess. Sarah, what would be a good takeaway today?
I know just keep in mind that transitioning back to work or back into the office can be both exciting and challenging. So give yourself a bit of time to readjust back to the old normal. You and your coworkers and most likely the entire world are sure to be a bit shell-shocked. So be kind to yourself and others, and soon being back in the office or back to work will just be kind of part of your normal routine for your day.
That's Sarah Cloud. She's Director of Behavioral Health, Beth Israel Deaconess. Reverend William McCoy. Bill, what do you want us to remember today?
Just that in our tradition, a faith tradition, the Judeo-Christian tradition, or any faith tradition for that matter, remembering where we've been and where we've survived difficult times is important, and to draw upon resources that are available for help. In New England, we tend to be rather self-sufficient, and we don't want to ask for help, or we don't do that very easily. But help is available: spiritual help, physical, mental, medical, financial. And I get so tired of hearing people say we're all in this together, but it's true. We are all in this together, and we need each other. And I trust that we'll risk asking for the help that's needed, because help is available in many ways. Thanks.
Thank you, Reverend William McCoy. We're going to go to Michael Jackman. He's the District Director, Congressman Bill Keating's office. Mike, what would be a closing thought at the federal level?
Yeah, just to follow up on Heather's response to that question, we don't have an idea of when the cutoff is for folks to have their information updated. Obviously, the deadline for filing your 2019 tax return has been extended to July 15th, so you'll need to file by then. We are hearing from some folks who are concerned that filing will affect their eligibility for an economic impact payment. I think, talk to your tax preparing professional like Heather Cozby to figure out what's the best strategy there. But the fact that they are still taking information from non-filers all the way through October leads me to believe that they will be updating the files based on new information that they receive, if you haven't already received an economic impact payment. A lot of folks who have filed already or filed in 2018 back in last year, those folks, I think a lot of them have already been adjudicated and either generated a payment or not. So we can certainly try to get some more information on that. You can always call our office to see if we can figure out an answer for you. So thank you.
Thank you, Michael Jackman. He's District Director, Congressman Bill Keating's office. We're now returning back to Heather Cozby. Heather, what should we be thinking about today?
I just wanted to close with reminding everybody, as far as if they have IRAs and some of the benefits under the laws. If you are of required minimum distribution age or 72 now, and you would normally have to take money out of your IRA, and if you don't need to because you have resources elsewhere or fixed income coming in, you don't have to take that money. So you're better off probably letting that money sit and recover in the markets than taking a distribution. It'll also lower your income for this year. And the converse of that is if you need access to your money and you're not of retirement age, so you're under 59 and a half, and given your circumstances, you may not qualify for whatever, you may have reduced hours and not getting enough employment and things like that, that if you need access to that, you can access that without the 10% penalty. You also have some really good provisions for maybe repaying that money back to your account for 2 years, things like that. So know that if you're looking for liquidity and you feel stuck, that there are some options with those retirement accounts. You're going to want to seek that information from your investment advisor and potentially your accountant to go through that, and don't feel like you don't have any options. Other than that, I went out 5 nights this week to restaurants, and I'm so proud of Plymouth and everybody. The wait staff was so cordial in every location, giving that they must be absolutely out of their minds trying to do this with masks on. And all of the patrons were very sweet and patient. And it was wonderful. The work Amy's doing and the work everybody's doing in town, it's wonderful. And I just really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Heather Cozby, Plymouth CPA. We're now going to go back to Michelle Bratty. She's the Director of Elder Affairs. Michelle, what should we be thinking about today?
So I concur with Heather. It's just amazing to see the happiness and the joy on people's faces. It's about time we got a little of taste of that in Plymouth. So support your small businesses, your local restaurants, your shops, and the Chamber and Amy are doing a phenomenal job with this town. Very proud to be here. But I do want to just remind everybody, but seniors in particular, criminals are getting busy and creative with coronavirus fraud and are looking to prey on people's fears and anxieties regarding the virus. They're really getting skilled these days, a lot of time on their hands. They are stealing unemployment and stimulus checks, offering fake cures for the virus, fake charity websites, and false loans, as well as filing fake unemployment claims on behalf of real people. These criminals are sending very official-looking notices or making official-sounding phone calls to get personal information. If anyone tries to call you or send you information through the mail, please do not provide your personal information. Please call us at CAL or call your local authorities if you have any questions, or if someone is pressuring you to take immediate action. That's a red flag right there. Chances are, if it feels stressful to you or leaves you feeling unsure, it is a scam. Do not bite. Call us with any questions. Even if it ends up being legitimate, you're better off calling someone to check that out and make sure. Thank you.
Thank you, Michelle Bratty, Director of Elder Affairs. We now return to Amy Naples, Executive Director, Plymouth Area Chamber of Commerce. Amy, what would be a good closing thought for today?
Well, of course, I'm so thrilled to hear my fellow panelists have been enjoying the alfresco dining and enjoying their favorite hometown shops. I myself have never been so happy to go out. It was so nice to get out, and just the joy it's given us. It's given us a great appreciation, certainly, for our local businesses. But we've heard from them and they are very busy and they are so appreciative of the community's support. So first I wanted to say that. Also a reminder to make a reservation if needed. Most of the restaurants do need that. Also be patient. This is new, challenging, and everyone is working through the guidelines and they are just doing everything they can to ensure the safety of all of their patrons. So just please be patient. Things may take a little bit longer, but it's so great to be out. We are so excited to see our small businesses back at what they are best at doing and are so happy to be serving you. So it's so great to see. As a chamber, obviously, we are celebrating that and we're super excited to see. And lastly, as a reminder, the Plymouth One Fund applications are available and open to small businesses that are in need of some financial. Our review committee will be meeting and reviewing and awarding recipients on a rolling basis. So businesses can apply at any time. Any small business can access and review the application on the Plymouth Chamber website, as well as the eligibility requirements. So visit plymouthchamber.com for the Plymouth One Fund application.
Thank you, Amy Naples, Executive Director, Plymouth Area Chamber of Commerce. Matthew Muratore, our Plymouth State Rep, I know you're monitoring Governor Baker. What do you have today as a closing statement?
Yeah, Steve. So I'm just looking out. It just came out, the testing site. Again, for those that have been involved in protests the last couple of weeks, they're encouraging people to go get free tests this Wednesday and Thursday. And I'm looking now, it looks like the closest to us is Brockton, it looks like. Yeah, it looks like it's going to be in Brockton. But I encourage people to go to the mass.gov /get tested to find out more information on that. Also, you want to make sure that people stay informed, mass.gov /COVID-19, but also mass.gov /reopening as well. So those are some good, easy websites to actually go to find out what's happening with COVID-19, what's happening with the reopening, and now with getting tested this Wednesday and Thursday. You also want to ask questions by calling 211 or text COVID-19 MA to 888-777 to get information, get alerts, or COVID MA ESP to 888-777. And of course, bowie.com /health /mass. You know, and it's, you know, talk about, you know, you're all talking about, you know, being out this weekend, appreciation, all that. I think we're all going to have a better appreciation of life once things get more somewhat of a new normal. You know, doing what we've been doing, and I've said before, you know, there's a lot of silver linings of what we've been doing the last 3 months, and spending time with family, et cetera, is great, and it's been wonderful. But I think that we'll really be appreciating life more when we go out to do the simple things, like going to restaurants, going shopping. You know, be able to get out with people, friends and family that we love. So, you know, it's going to be great. And, you know, and I've revised my, you know, we're almost on day 60 of the show, and I've always talked about, you know, coming together by staying apart. But I think in these times, you know, with not just the COVID-19, but with the protests going on, I think it's just simply, you know, let's continue coming together by working together.
Thank you, Plymouth Representative
Thursday.
Matthew Muratore. And as we listen to all of our participants today talking about getting out and enjoying the restaurants, I would just share with you, I've been eating in Plymouth the past week, but also yesterday was outside of Plymouth. And I have to say that we're so fortunate here in our community to have such great venues and vistas to enjoy when we are eating outside. So. Again,
Yeah, Stephen, I want to say also too, I mean, yeah, the Chamber has done a great job as well, but I don't want to forget what the selectmen have done either. And not just because Ken is on here, but you look at a lot of communities and they did not forecast what Plymouth Select Board actually did. And they've been meeting quite often to get these restaurants up and running very quickly, whereas most communities are still waiting for their weekly meetings to do all this. So a big shout out go out to the Select Board for really making this happen, along with the Chamber as well, working together. So we thank them for what they've been doing.
Thank you, Plymouth State Representative Matthew Muratore. Ken Tavares, that's a great lead-in for you for a closing statement. Ken, what do you have for us?
Yes, it is. As a matter of fact, this morning at 9:30, we had a special meeting, and 3 more liquor licenses were changed so that the restaurants could serve outdoors. And it is, as Matt has often said, this is the case of everyone working together. My closing thought is that there certainly is light at the end of the tunnel. We're starting to see it. But at the same time, there's caution that we all need to be, part of the solution and not the problem. There are many things that we still have to adhere to. Let's just not lose the scope that we've had on these requirements. Again, it's certainly all for the best for all of us. Thank you.
Thank you, Kenneth Tavares, Representative Matthew Muratore, and all of our panel today, Sarah Cloud, also Reverend William McCoy, Michael Jackman, Heather Cozby, Michelle Bratty, Amy Naples. And on Thursday, please join us. We'll be welcoming once again Dr. Philip Triffletti, Dr. Mark Wilson, Christopher Smalley, Robert Eisenstein, and Stephen Cole. They'll all be joining us. My name is Steve Triffletti, Plymouth Town Moderator, and good day.